Lisa-Ann Gershwin is an enigmatic jellyfish scientist who has lately become one of the darlings of the anti-salmon farming set in Tasmania. While I acknowledge that Dr Gershwin has been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, there seems to be something weird about her that the condition alone might not fully explain. For example, she claims, quite publicly, that she was sacked from first the Queen Victoria and Art Gallery and Museum in Launceston, and later from the CSIRO because of her autism. About her views on the relationship between salmon farming and jellyfish. For example, this article published in 2019 by the ABC. Could fish farms be creating the problem of jellyfish? Dr Gershwin's claim is that salmon farming practices cause jellyfish blooms, which in turn negatively impact the salmon in a vicious cycle of environmental tag. She may be right, but if Richard Flanagan is citing Dr Gershwin when he says that, quote, the huge nutrient stream from salmon acts as fertiliser, stimulating the growth of zooplankton, a primary food for jellyfish, end quote, then you have to wonder. Zooplankton are microscopic animals. They're not fertilised, no more than Richard's dog is fertilised when he opens that tin of chum. Phytoplankton, microalgae, are fertilised with nutrients from salmon farms, Richard, not zooplankton. You spent all of chapter 2 warning us of the threat of algal blooms, and now it's tiny animal blooms instead. Really? Is this a mistake, Richard, or an alternative reality? I knew this would come in handy again. I might just inject it with this pink dye, call it salmon, and get myself a cat. In any case, we have already discussed how Richard has obviously consulted the Huon Aquaculture fact sheet on triploids, so it cannot be believed that he wasn't tempted to look at the one on jellyfish. And beyond the assertions by the evil spin doctors on the Huon Aquaculture PR team stating that, quote, there is no evidence that moon jellyfish blooms are occurring with increased frequency or severity in southeast Tasmania. The last significant moon jellyfish season prior to the 2018-19 summer was the 2012-13 summer. No instances of significant jellyfish blooms were recorded near Huon's leases in either the summer of 2019-20 or 2020-21. Richard might have at least clicked through on the link cited in this fact sheet to get this research from Dr. Kylie Pitt. How robust is the evidence that human activities cause jellyfish blooms? Where Dr. Pitt states, we were curious about how often scientific papers claim that human activities cause sea jelly blooms and what sort of evidence authors use to support their claims. We discovered that almost half the papers published on the topic of jellyfish blooms contain statements that human activities cause jellyfish blooms, so our perception that such claims are widespread in the scientific literature was correct. When we analysed the evidence that authors used to substantiate their claims that human activities cause jellyfish blooms, we discovered three things. That most authors used as evidence studies of just a couple of highly invasive species of sea jellies. An analogy would be extrapolating from studies of rats or rabbits to understand how bilbies or snow leopards might respond to human activities. 2, authors often cited correlative studies to support their claims. An example might be that sea jellies were more abundant in areas polluted with nutrients. A problem with correlations is that we don't know if one observation is caused by the other, so correlative evidence needs to be interpreted cautiously. Finally, authors also frequently cited the same handful of studies to support their claims that human activities cause sea jelly blooms. The studies cited mainly contained circumstantial evidence and proposed conceptual ideas about how sea jellies might respond to human activities rather than robust evidence that human activities cause sea jelly blooms. We conclude that although human activities could enhance sea jelly populations, robust evidence is limited. We need to use rigorous experiments and study how many different species of sea jellies respond to human activities before concluding that sea jellies as a group thrive in degraded ocean ecosystems. And for all that, the enigmatic Dr. Lisa-Ann Gershwin is rolled out by the anti-salmon farming warriors as their Joan of Arc. When running as a candidate for the recent Tasmanian election, however, the platforms were mental health, disabilities, housing and communities. Not a single mention of jellyfish or any opposition to salmon farming. If I was in her electorate, I might well have voted for her.